Welcome to Cross Border Interviews. This is the show where we dive into the insights of municipal political leaders from across Canada. Now, our mission is to shine a light. Shine a light on the dedicated individuals who day in and day out work around that council table to shape the communities that we call home. And on this edition of the show, we bring you coverage from Victoria, British Columbia, where in September, the 2025 Union of BC Municipalities Convention brought together delegates from every corner of the province. Among those we spoke with during the 5-day convention was Village of Masset Mayor Sheri Disney. Across Canada, our cities, towns, villages, and rural communities are alive with stories waiting to be told. Stories of innovation and economic development, resilience in the face of the housing challenges, and the financial hurdles municipalities overcome every day. At the Cross Border Network, we bring these stories to life. From coast to coast to coast, we're connecting Canadians to the issues shaping our communities and showcasing the people working tirelessly to make them thrive. With your support, we can expand our reach, amplify more voices, and shine a light on the challenges and triumphs of municipal life. For as little as $3.99 a month, you can help us grow and continue sharing the stories that matter most. Join us today and be part of this important mission. Together, we can tell more stories, build stronger communities, and make a real difference. Support the Cross Border Network now. Visit www.crossborderinterviews.ca today.
Mayor, thank you so much for doing this. Very first question I've got to ask you, because you're new to the show, is where's your sense of duty to serve your community come from?
I feel like since I was quite young, I had served on boards. I had been parts of things like Chamber of Commerce, Women in Business, and some smaller boards and groups around. I had considered perhaps school board trustee, but as I was encouraged by my partner to consider municipal politics, it went from being a far-fetched idea to one that seemed to make sense.
Really? That's how simple it was. It was a far-fetched idea and became reality.
It took a couple months, but in a nutshell, yeah.
But a relatively newcomer to the community as well, because in our pre-introduction, we said that you've been on council for 3 years now, and you just moved there 5 years ago.
Yes and no, and yes and no. I do have history there. So
Okay.
my family had always brought me there to vacation, and I had spent a little bit of time living there too. But yes, was kind of new-ish to moving back. I had arrived.
And people welcomed you with open arms, it seemed like.
Just before COVID. And so I feel like
so open doors, or not open doors, open Zoom boxes?
I had arrived the October just before COVID hit, and so it was, I feel like the sense of community was always there in the smaller communities, and even more so when you have to get through things together.
So we are 3 years into your term, and I know you've probably had to make some very tough decisions around that table. How do you make those tough decisions as a mayor of a small community where you probably know every single person in your community? When there's someone from the outside, you know who they are as well. So how do you make those tough decisions?
I mean, the nerdy answer is that
I love the nerdy answer.
Fiduciary duty was explained very thoroughly to me.
I think you were in about 900 episodes of this show, you're the first person to say fiduciary. I can't even say it properly. But where was that instilled upon you?
So I also have a background in real estate.
Okay.
And the law is one of my favorite avenues to choose electives from anytime I've been in post-secondary. And I mean, all of these also previous factors really led to it starting to make sense to run for municipal office.
So over the last 3 years, you've made some tough choices. Is communication part of your job to make sure that when you make those tough decisions, you tell the people that you're elected by what those tough decisions are and how they impact each other?
I think, it's important to have most things occur during public meeting. I think that we do have members of our community. We are a very small tax base, 450 something homes is our tax
What's
base.
the population?
it's very small, and some of it is a little transient. So the most accurate number I can give is that we have 450-ish tax base home.
That's how we have to look at things. So when you're communicating with people.
And so when we're communicating, I feel like a lot of folks do look things up in our minutes. I think the ones...
Are people engaged?
We do have some engagement
Good for
in that.
you.
And I'm constantly inviting people to come attend public meeting.
And are they?
Yeah, sometimes.
What?
Sometimes.
This is... can I move there?
There have been times where we've had to put out extra chairs, too.
Because I get a sense in this country that there's an apathetic nature when it comes to municipal politics, but it doesn't seem that way.
I think one of the things that I've also heard from ministers that I've got to know over the last few years too is that some of the most meaningful work that they ever did was at the municipal level. And I think that encouragement in high schools is a really good way to go. And as I say this out loud, I've not done enough of myself yet. But I do think that is an avenue, and one that worked for me. It was actually in elementary school that I first became interested in politics, to date myself. I was in elementary school when Canada was going through a referendum, and I had a teacher that was
interested. Now you're really dating yourself because we can say 95 or 81, so I'm going to say the
one. But it has been since that point in time that I have been looking forward to hearing the platforms from different parties. It has been since that point in time that I felt like my vote counted.
So we are here on the second day, but not the first official day of UBCM here in beautiful Victoria. What are the advocacy points that you're bringing forward when you're meeting with ministers, when you're speaking with other village mayors from across British Columbia, that you want to make sure that gets on the radar from the provincial government?
The biggest one, I also do write a column in my local Haida newspaper, and the topic that I had said that would probably come around in most conversations, no matter who I am sitting with, is the opioid crisis. I feel like it's affecting a lot of our financial things. I feel like it's affecting healthcare. I feel like mental health. I feel like safety. All housing, when we look at every single one of the bigger issues that the province has, I think that I've done a little bit of travel, and you can really tell the difference between states or provinces that have started to try to eliminate that as being a problem.
So can I ask a very political question?
Yes.
Is the opioid crisis that bad right now in
your
community?
I think that in our community, we're just starting to see it.
So you're trying to be more proactive than reactive.
And also, I have called Victoria home and still think it has a place in my heart. And when I come back and I see the difference, and it is, you can tell when there's someone in need on the street. And I just think that if the goal was to use opioids or fentanyl or whatever it is, as a painkiller in hospitals, maybe a net benefit. But if we're looking at the net negative right now, we really need to start seeing and saying it's not working.
So what's the action you want from the provincial government, or even in that matter, the federal government, because they all have a responsibility to play, including the municipality? What's the first step that would help the village in addressing this issue sooner rather than later?
For us, it's transport and monitoring what comes in and out of communities. Because we're an isolated area, we can look at a little more thoroughly security measures for ferries, security measures for airports. But if we're looking at, we can sure try to make it hard for anyone to come and function trying to sell or take drugs in our communities, but they're still going to move somewhere to where they can do it. So I think it's a bigger, broader conversation about deciding whether or not some of these pharmaceuticals that are being used not in hospitals, how do we get rid of that? And I think that becomes a bigger conversation federally too. You hit the nail on the head there.
So what do you hope to get from this week? Because I'm going to burst your bubble a little bit. The province is not going to announce that we're going to help you out
for sure
the moment that you leave here Friday and start heading back. So what's the first step that you hope that this convention will help you go back to your community and your residents and say, okay, this is what happened and this is where we are now?
I think that one of the first things I learned in municipal politics is that it takes time. And so everything...
So you've seen how the sausage is made.
It's that you plant seeds and you help them grow, and you leave a legacy helping those seeds grow. And so our community has hired, which was new for us, our own grant writer in our office, and we're making what's called shelf-ready projects. So when there's grants to apply to, it's much easier for us to be prepared to go in and apply. I think that mentioning how big of an opioid problem it is, you can only hear it so many years in a row before larger action needs to start to take place. And I think that I'm really hopeful from this conference that we'll start seeing some support for that through things like libraries, because the libraries actually do end up becoming a catch-all for things like that, and some of the resolutions that are put forward are to ask for support for when you have a library and you have an idea in your mind, you're not guessing that they have to, be big and helpful and wake people up who've fallen asleep, and maybe give them naloxone.
Libraries are a lifeline for a lot of people right now, and let's just take the opioid crisis out of the conversation for a second. But municipalities are under a financial strain right now. How important is it for yourself as mayor to ensure that those services that people have come to rely on, that single mother who needs to take their daughter to the library to get a book, or that father who needs to go use the computer at the library to apply for a job, has access to those services that they've relied on, knowing that you're going to have to make some tough decisions, going back to the original question of, do we keep it open as long as we have? Do we shorten the hours? Because some people do rely on those services.
Right, yeah. I think that one of the things that I've seen happen is a little bit more of a structure within library systems to offer more of a consistent offering that is based on your community's size. Yeah. And I think that's really helpful too. And I mean, so overcoming and all of that, I think that we have in making tough decisions, I don't want to get too far talking circles around it, but I think some of the tough decisions have been about going for it. I think that there were a lot of things when I came into my municipal seat that felt like were conversations that had been had. Everyone can kind of agree who's going to push go. And so that is probably one of the harder parts that I've had to learn, that sometimes it can be me.
So I want to flip the original question on its head for a second.
Sure.
What's the thing you are proud of when it comes to Masset? What's the thing, because we don't often talk about the things that are going right. We only talk about the things that are going wrong. So for yourself as mayor, what's the thing that when you wake up and you say, you know what, we have a challenge, but this is what will always keep me getting up?
The people that live there love it so much, obviously.
Yep.
And then I had started the term out knowing that a few pieces of work had to be done. And we're in year 3 of 4, and we have completed or are on or are well on the way to the big ones that I had in my head for conversation and to possibly even complete. And we have done things like upgrade water, do roads, and those are just kind of inherent,
the fun things that are not traditionally quote unquote sexy.
And then we do have some parks coming as well, which was another thing on my list. So more outdoor space, and not just for visitors and tourists, even though please come. It also is for our locals.
My next segment here about tourism. What should people do while they're in Masset? What are the things that people can come see? What are the hidden gems? What are the tourist destinations as mayor you know off the top of your head?
Visit our parks. The hidden gems are, I think, if you are the type that has your own camper, likes to set up a campsite, there almost isn't anywhere else that you could feel so remote. There's a music festival that happens on Haida Gwaii called Edge of the World, and there are lots of places that you could go and camp on the beach and literally feel as though you are on the edge of the world.
Really? So what's your favorite part of it? What's the place that you can go after a long day of meetings, work, that you can just go decompress at?
So I used to have one right across from a house that I have no longer own, but Agate Beach is really nice, and that is heading way to the northernmost physical tip onto a. It's actually more of a rocky beach, but listening to the waves come up and down off the rocks is. That is also. I'm picking a spot that has no cell service too, so it purposefully is to not be on my phone usually.
So my final question, and it goes back to us being here at UBCM. What does UBCM mean to the village of Masset?
It's a big deal for us because we get to network with other mayors and councils and hear maybe things that have worked for them. But then also we invite our neighboring Indigenous community. We have the Haida of the Old Masset. They have their own council, and they do attend First Nations leaders conferences that we go to with them too. I think we've partnered with Old Masset a fair amount, and one of the ways that it has been noticed is to come to these meetings together and to show that this benefits both of our communities. Here's some infrastructure that's of great need. We both need it. We've put together a proposal for it to work for both of our communities. Here's the plan. And I think that gets remembered because then they're also seeing, our ministers and provincial staff are seeing that every 6 months instead of just every year.
Sheri, Mayor, thank you so much for doing this. It's been an honest pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for tuning in for another edition of Cross Border Interviews. Now, we hope you've enjoyed the conversation and gained some valuable insights from the most recent Union of British Columbia Municipalities Convention in beautiful downtown Victoria, BC, and from today's guests. To stay in the loop with all the latest episodes, don't forget to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platform, or if you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button today. Now, for even more content and learn more about the people and the communities that we feature on this show and our sister shows, visit us online at crossbordernetwork.ca. Your support means the world to us. So share this episode with your friends, your family, and yes, even your community, and help keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and we will be back with a brand new episode of Cross Border Interviews shortly. Till then, everyone.